disconnected. Son of a bitch. Or do I? Tell me if this is better, guys. I imagine it would be because now I do not have, I have everything pretty much closed on my end. So if this works better, then this is what we'll go with for today. And, uh, and that should be okay. Okay, cool. So the last thing now, I'll try one last thing just because I've disconnected everything. Maybe now I can reconnect the mic, and if I can't, I promise you guys I will give up. I just don't like giving up. That's not my general MO with things. So it's kind of like I feel like I'm being tested here. All right, that's in. That's in. Now, that's in. Okay. Okay. So now you should hear me. Everything should be perfect. I can see that there's no chopping on my end, and everything looks copacetic now. Let me know if it's copacetic on your end. If it is, then we're working, and I'm going to play with this very little so that we can get this live. Oh, I heard that noise. Okay, so, God. All right. Um, Let's see here, guys. Okay, cool. So anyway, let's see. So I have the report and that I want to share with you guys. And thank you for. Wait a second, John Volpe. This is. You're not a professor by any chance, John, are you? I don't remember the professor's name, but there's a Professor Volpe whose material I love on YouTube. I can't imagine that's you though, because it would be just so outside of what you're about. It's all good. It all got better. Cool. All right. So then we're not going to really mess with it, or we shouldn't at least. So let's see. Yeah. So this will move now all the way down here, and I'll sit up. Um, yeah, cool. So now it sounds like my normal live stream. Okay, John said no, it's not. He's not Professor Volpe. All right. Well, very cool. Yeah. So I just as a total aside, and it might be totally uninteresting, and if it is, you guys can put that in the chat. I certainly am. A big boy, and just sharing this for anyone who might be interested. It's really interesting. I used to be bald. I used to shave my head. I've had a mohawk. I've had long hair. I've had gray hair. I've done pretty much everything with my head, from bald, mohawk, long hair to what you see now. And it's never really bothered me. And I don't know if it's me getting older or what, or me just looking at the receding hairline that I have, or and God knows what, but I all of a sudden have taken it on as a challenge to try and regrow hair here, and it's starting to work. I'm kind of excited about it. I'm using Rogaine, a red light hat, and micro needling here and here. And it's been like a month and a half, and so far so good. I've actually noticed some results. I'm kind of shocked. This part has been dead for like 30 years, so I can't imagine that it would grow back, but it seems like it is. So that's kind of cool. I feel like I'm clutching on with every last fingernail to stay as biologically young as I can. Now that I'm coming on 50, trying to stay young. And the I'm one of the few friends that I know at my age that don't have to have reading glasses, and I want to kind of keep that as long as possible. So yeah. So anyway, let's talk about creating demand, and a lot of this is stuff that I've put in, like the video I shared. I posted it to our Facebook group, I believe, that for the during the Thanksgiving time, a presentation that I gave at a Dan Kennedy event on demand creation, probably the most recent, even though that was 2 years ago, the most recent presentation that I've actually done on creating demand. And so, yeah, let's pull this up. Let's see how this is going to look. And maybe I should turn it this way. Yeah, that's okay. All right. And let's now go all the way up. All right. So I wrote this in May of 2017. You won't find it anywhere because I haven't released it. Um, oh, wait. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to add this. There we go. All right. And let's see. Okay. So, let's see. All right. So this is where I start talking about momentum and the difference between having a business and having a series of promotions, right? That a promotion does not make a business in and of itself. A business has to have a mechanism for creating promotions, or you just really have a promotion, right? And we could kind of talk about that quite a bit, but this is where I think maybe we should start. And it's been a while since I've looked at this report, so bear with me. And by all means, if you have questions related to this or to anything else, I'm glad to take them and have more of a conversation. Because as I always say, I'd much rather make this a dialogue than a monologue. And I appreciate all the feedback because that's what makes this worthwhile for me. It's the reason I'm still here and not already on my drive up to Orlando. I would have left earlier. So let's take a look at what I've got here. Okay. So basically, if you look at what most people do is chase current demand. And there is a good reason for that, right? It is easier to sell into current demand. It is what the ad for Steal Our Winners that you just saw is more of a demand chasing ad than a demand creating ad. That it is not necessarily making all the arguments about how that there's marketing entropy, that every marketing tactic comes with an expiration date, and that it only works its best when the fewest people are using it. And that means that when you have access to the latest and best information out there, uh, your success goes up, right? The best, latest marketing tactics that everyone doesn't know. And if I can make that case strong, and then you start to see that part of the reason why you haven't succeeded as well as you wanted to, or haven't gotten the results as much as you wanted to, that, let me make this on that. Then all of a sudden I could be creating demand for Steal Our Winners. Well, what I really would be doing in that particular case is creating demand for a channel of recent marketing tactics that the world does not know about yet. And then I would point you in the direction of Steal Our Winners. So that's very different, right, than what you saw on the screen before, right, where it was just a bunch of gurus talking about how powerful these tactics are and how powerful the digital mastermind is. But tell me if that's clear to you, right? What I'm curious about is if that distinction that I'm making here, the difference between chasing demand and creating demand, is clear to you. Because it's clear on my end. And uh, let's see. Um, can we have it? We'd love to proofread it. You know what? I will. I'm not going to release it yet. I don't know if I'm ever going to release it, but if I do, I will let people who are on my live stream have access to it first. How about that? Um, let's see if I can make myself a little bit smaller, and I can make this a little bit smaller so that it's not as obnoxious. There we go. All right. And I don't know if stem cells work on the hair yet, but I'm not at that stage. Um, yeah. Hey, Rich, can you make a collaboration with Jason Capital? He's pretty good. I'll seek him out. All right. It's clear. Yes. Cool. Good to see you, Roberto. All right. So stream quality has automatically lowered because the internet connection was not fast enough. Look at that. Still having all these challenges. You would think I wouldn't, but I have. All right. Okay, so this is my story, right? Most of you know it. Back in 2006, I was simply a business coach with my first coaching program. There were 25 clients in the program, and it was approaching its end. The results my clients achieved were better than I had imagined. As a whole, the group's sales grew over $40 million, broken out. It was an average increase of $1.6 million for each client. Unfortunately, I was finding out getting results for my clients, offering something I thought was better was not enough. Making my clients an extra 1.6 million did not make new prospects and clients arrive at my door. So while I felt damn good about my clients' results, I was frustrated and disappointed about my own. I had built a better mousetrap and the world had not beaten a path to my door. Whenever I thought about it, I'd get angry. I saw others selling subpar products with crazy promises. Here I had something that was changing my clients' lives. Many clients told me in hindsight it was the best investment they've ever made. Nonetheless, nobody was interested in what I had to offer. At the time, everyone in online marketing wanted more and more courses and programs on marketing. They didn't see the need nor the benefit of learning more about business or being coached on it. Knowing that my current coaching program would soon end, with it, the monthly revenue had me worried. What was I going to do? How was I ever going to build my coaching program into a business? And more importantly, at that time, how was I going to replace the income from these 25 clients? I thought about it and thought about it. Heck, I couldn't stop myself from thinking about it. I knew that if I didn't get some new clients fast, it would be over. I'd have to consider going into a different business. All right. So after an entrepreneur has told me, let's see, why today's success riddle. So after an entrepreneur has told me what they want from their business and how much they are struggling, they often get quiet. It's as if all of a sudden they're realizing how off track they are and they are hoping to understand why. It's like they are thinking, I've learned a lot, I'm doing a lot, practically everything I can, and yet I'm stuck. I've got everything I'm supposed to have, a funnel, webinar content, a list, everything. And even though everything is easier to do with tools like ClickFunnels, Groove, Infusionsoft, and Facebook targeting, retargeting, their business isn't more successful, it's just busier. I can tell that the I can tell the question they haven't articulated but are hoping I'll answer is I thought marketing and selling online was getting easier, so why am I still working harder and staying stuck? Right? And if you think about it, everything online has gotten easier, right? Uh, everything from here. So everything from niche research, getting leads is easier than ever before. More specifically, it's easier to do prospect research and niche selection than ever before with social media profiling, website psychographic profiling tools. It's easier than ever to offer your visitors and prospects great content with curation strategies and sites to easily identify popular content like BuzzSumo. It's easier and cheaper to get than ever to get a lead or an opt-in using lead pages with Facebook targeting, YouTube advertising, retargeting, etc. It's easier to build a funnel and have it make money than ever before. It's easier than ever to make an initial sale with the advent of tripwires, clever upsells, one-time offer strategies. It's easier to convert higher price back-end sales than ever before with event-driven marketing, phone rooms, application funnels, and all of the like. And so this is a note to myself. So if you're curious how I write reports, when I'm writing and I'm in a flow, I will do this like when I'm not satisfied with if I'm not satisfied with what I've written, if I feel like it's missing something and it needs something more. And so I've shared this before, right? Showing, not telling, right? As a way of leading someone to a revelation over an explanation. So this is a note to myself, right? It says, I will need to make this much more easy to identify with, more showing, less telling. So what I'm saying to myself here is that in that list of examples of how every part of online business is getting easier and easier, I don't feel like that section got would get a reader to nod their head in agreement that there is no doubt that everything online is easier today than it was before, but that is the case. And so I know that I need to make that stronger. Let me know if that makes sense. It's a way for me when I'm writing to be able to keep writing, right? And not get fixated on a section that I really could spend hours on and not advance it until I'm clear on how to advance it, right? So hopefully that's interesting to you guys and helpful. The takeaway there is that when you're working on anything that is important as far as content that you are creating to create a result in your business, and you're going through a first pass, the second pass, however many times you go through it, that first or second pass, as you're writing it, as you're starting to critique it, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be far from perfect, right? But the first time through, I'm just trying to get it down. And there might be a few sections that I'm dissatisfied with. And hopefully, as I look at those sections that I'm dissatisfied with, when I come back around it again, either I'll have another answer or maybe I can combine a couple sections that I think are weak and turn it into a stronger section. So that's kind of that, right? So, yeah, didn't stop to edit, make a note. Exactly. So has growing your business gotten easier? Um, okay, maybe take from the book After Image, The Sequences of Marketing. So this book, After Image, good book on marketing, talks about the evolution of advertising and marketing in the different kind of ages, like the industrial age, the communication age, etc. And I found their explanation pretty interesting. So I made a note to myself to look at that as I go in to this stage. Um, okay, so this is kind of interesting. I think some of you might find this fascinating. So let's kind of get to it. Um, okay, so the headline is The History of Internet Marketing. We were in the right place at the right time. Uh, Okay. We became the first group of internet marketing gurus. We all shared the same unfair advantage. We had been studying direct response marketing and copywriting from legendary offline marketers, Dan Kennedy, Gary Halbert, Jay Abraham, etc. We had learned to build marketing-driven businesses that targeted demand. We had learned from our mentors that most entrepreneurs make the mistake of making the product first and then trying to sell it. Instead, we should figure out what would sell first, then offer and make that. That whole thing, if you've ever heard that, that makes a lot of sense, but that is a demand chasing approach. Nothing wrong with that. I've made millions, so have many others doing that approach. But in a saturated market, its effectiveness diminishes, right? So we brought this demand first way of thinking online with us. We thought companies should be led by the marketing departments because only the marketing departments could lead the organization to where the future demand was waiting for them. Along with our demand bias, we also brought these distinctions online. Lifetime value, front end and back end marketing, the value of a list, joint ventures, list rentals, lead generation, etc., that we had learned from our mentors in the offline world to the online world. Business guru Peter Drucker wrote, "The aim of marketing is to make selling superfluous." There was only one way marketing could make selling superfluous. Everyone in the group agreed on this point. The better marketing is at finding and amassing prospects with pre-existing demand for what it is we're offering, the less necessary selling becomes, right? So I want you to really, and I'm glad that I actually am pointing this out to you. Because, okay, so this sentence, right? The aim of marketing is to make selling superfluous. There are really two ways that you can go about that, right? You can find people, one way, right, is to find people who already have the need. If they already have the need, and then putting something in front of them is about chasing demand, right? Like, and it's a way to make selling superfluous. If I have a horrible headache, you don't have to sell me on Tylenol if you have some. You just have to say, would you like some Tylenol, right? So find a need and fill it is a way of making selling superfluous. But there is another way to make selling superfluous, and that is instead of chasing demand like this, right? You can create it. In other words, take people who currently do not see value in what it is that you offer and educate them on the value that you offer. So, one of the ways that I like to kind of define marketing, and there's a million definitions, so there is no one way. And even I have several ways, depending on who I'm talking to, what the context is. But one way of describing marketing is helping your market or helping your prospects to value what it is you offer, right? To value the product or service that you have that currently they do not value. They don't see it as the resolution of their conflict, right? Conflict being a goal unattained or a problem unresolved. And so your goal in marketing is to educate them so that they can see the value of what it is you offer, right? So that they recognize they have a need for what it is you offer, and then you can make selling superfluous. So hopefully that makes that a little bit clearer. And let's take a look at what you guys have put in here. Okay, so Adam. Let's go to me for a second. We can always come back to this. Hey, Rich, would love to hear your take as it relates to creating demand on how entrepreneurs should deal with the pandemic. How long do you think the new normal will last? Months, years? Um, how should we adjust our mental game and model to survive or thrive until this is over? Adam, Adam's been a client of mine for a long time. It's really hard for me to get into it without probably offending a lot of people. I feel very fortunate I live in Florida because in Florida it's like the it's like COVID doesn't even exist anymore. And I say that because I've been going on these long walks every morning. I've been waking up earlier, and which, by the way, total ADD moment, but waking up earlier has completely eliminated my insomnia, which is just awesome. I've been waking up. I want to get up earlier and earlier. Right now, I'm just getting up at 6 a.m., but I'm kind of a mess at 6 a.m. So generally, I will get in front of my Juve wall of red lights, do 20 minutes, 10 minutes front and back, and then I'll go for a walk. And sometimes that walk is an hour, sometimes it's 2 hours. And sometimes in the afternoon, I'll go for another walk with Kim, and because she gets up later. But this weekend, we went for some long walks, and we walked down the beach. The beaches are packed. The bars on the beaches are packed. People aren't wearing masks, and they're mostly young people there, so they've got really not that much to worry about, and they're helping grow the number of people that are walking around with immunity. So thank God for them. That's the way I look at it. They're helping create herd immunity. I also don't really understand most of the politics around this. It makes no sense to me. It seems as if there's more to the story, and who knows what it is. So I don't know. If you're an entrepreneur and you're in a state with current lockdowns and high state taxes, my best advice is to evaluate whether you need to be there or not. I feel very thankful that I live in Florida, and partly because of the lack of lockdowns and the enjoyment of freedom, partly because there's no state tax, um, and and then also the weather and everything else. Um, I'm a transplant from New York City, and I yeah, forget about just the weather being 100 times better. I just can't even imagine living in New York, paying an extra 20% in taxes when it's all said and done for the privilege of living in New York. For what? For then having the onerous rules, regulations oppressing me. So I don't see it at all. So Adam, my first thing would be to strongly consider whether you still need to live in California, and who knows what's really going to happen, right? Because we can't trust the government at all. Um, they told us at the beginning, 15 days, to slow the curve. That was 10 months ago. And while the rates of infection are insane, the deaths are no higher than previous. So we've gotten a handle on this. It is, um, it's a sad thing when anyone dies, but I don't think that we've weighed the pros and cons of lockdowns. And who knows if masks work or not? I just think that, you know, I don't. I'm a skeptic. I guess I'm a skeptic about everything. You know, um, a lot of the people that are screaming about the Earth. What happened to Al Gore? Weren't we all supposed to be underwater in 2012? Then they moved it to 2020. Now they're moving it to 2030. I'm just tired of predictions that are supposedly science that at the end of the day are full of shit, right? Like, and, a great example of it is that everyone's professing like that the world is going to end. A lot of them have bought property on Martha's Vineyard on the ocean. So I just don't. I don't believe anything the Republicans say. I don't believe anything the Democrats say. And so, therefore, Adam, I can't tell you what to do except to don't believe any politician. Zero, right? And we'll see what happens. But I think that I do think, and I'll tell you this, and then we'll get back to your comments and then back to creating demand. One of the reasons, so let me share this uh, strategy that a conversation that I had recently that will also reveal, I think, a great strategy. And I'm just looking up, the guy's name is Walter, and maybe he doesn't want me to say his last name, so I'll just leave it at Walter. My friend Walter shared with me a strategy for YouTube that I can't really go in depth on because I don't think I understand it as in depth as I would like to. Um, but what he shared with me is that looking at a bunch of different YouTube videos, and Walter's a sharp guy, and he's got friends that are very sharp. They are very successful, and he was telling me that he noticed that in the ads between the difference between the winners and the non-winners, the ads were the same except how they started, which makes sense, and that the ads that were winners did less teasing and more tasting, and those are his words, right? And I asked him to kind of explain what he meant by that, and he did what he was explaining is that if you're using if you're in a if you're watching YouTube and a commercial comes up and it's like a tease would be would you like to know the top 3 secrets to creating demand? Well, in this video I'm going to share with you, right, that's a tease, right, as opposed to a taste. So now, different way of starting the commercial. Here's how you create demand. The first thing you do, right, and I was thinking about that after he explained that to me. I wrote it down on the board. I want to think about it more. And so last night I was thinking about attention, and actually, kind of funny, right? I just happened to have my journal here, but so I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Yeah, maybe you can. But question, right? How do you maximize return on attention, right? And I was starting to think about that from two different standpoints. From the standpoint of what business outcome, what's the ideal business outcome for any amount of attention that it gets from the marketplace or prospects or what have you. And then the second part of that question is how can we deliver greater value requiring less of our customers' attention to get the outcome, right? So those were the two things I was thinking of. And, so these are not fully formed ideas yet, right? This is kind of how ideas kind of get refined in my mind to share publicly in a more public format. Here, I feel like we're friends and I can just share like what's on my mind, and maybe your questions help elicit better answers from me. But so one thought I had, which is definitely not like the direction I really want to go with that question, is a continuity. This is what I wrote. A continuity is sort of one way to fully capitalize on a moment or period of attention because it creates two things. One, an ongoing revenue stream into the future, and also a more direct mode of communication that allows greater access to future attention from that prospect or now customer. And then over here, I started to break down different obvious ways to, I don't know if this, to getting attention, capturing attention, keeping attention, and returning attention. And so the reason I was thinking about this after what my friend Walter shared with me was that difference between teasing and tasting. The difference is partly about how quickly, at least this is the way I was thinking about it, how quickly there needs to be a payoff for attention. And that most of us, myself included, right, we recognize that attention is becoming increasingly more scarce. And yet, I don't think many of us are thinking hard enough, long enough, doing enough to, one, what I wrote the Attention Age Doctrine 1 about, how do we maximize the payoff of the attention, the limited amount of attention that we have to give, right? Across the board, to our kids, to our family, to our friends. I can tell you, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I've been disappointed a lot more often over the last 12 months, especially the last 6 months, because during the beginning of the lockdown, it was different. From friends just not getting back to me for texting and then having that text just hang out for a long time. And I don't believe it's just me. So unless all of you tell me, no, everyone else is like gets back to me, then maybe you'll give me a complex. But I believe that most people, I don't take it personally because I imagine that most people are stretched out. Like their amount of attention they have to give to anything is stretched. Like they just don't have the bandwidth to give attention to everything that is asking for their attention. The implication of that is that your prospects are the same. And so now you're trying to get their attention. And how do you do that? And then if you get it, how do you keep it? And if you keep it, how do you foster a relationship so that you can get ongoing attention? These things are increasingly becoming more difficult. And because they are increasingly becoming more difficult, it is those of us who excel at that will really rise to the top. So if you're recognizing it, right? If you get people texting you back less, right? Friends, I'm not talking about like anybody else, but friends that should be texting you back, whether not right away, taking longer, not at all. One, don't take it personally. I think it's happening to everyone. Two, recognize that if it is happening to everyone, what the consequence of that is. You see, like, I think I've shared this many times in the past. I don't walk around thinking I'm smarter than everyone else, that I work hard. Like there is no big ego on my side most of the time. But there is one place where my ego seems to serve me, right? And that one part is that if I'm struggling with something, I am not alone in struggling with this, that many people are. That if I'm struggling with it, other people are too. So, when my friends are not getting back to me, right? And I am like annoyed by that. And so make it a point not to do that, to not to be the same way, and struggle at times to live up to that. I then recognize that this is well, I then believe that it's happening everywhere. And if it's happening everywhere, it's happening to my prospects, it's happening to my customers. And if I want to win long term, I'm going to need to figure out a way to overcome that on both levels. I'm going to need to figure out a way to get or capture people's attention, right? And more importantly, possibly for the success and livelihood of my business, to make sure that the least amount of attention is required from our customers to get the outcome that they want, because their attention will be at a premium. So let's see what you guys have to say, then we'll get back to this. Let's see. Wow. Okay, lots of comments. Let's see. So yeah, answered Adam. Can post it and steal our winners. Maybe I'll do that. I'll talk to Matt. What I did talk to Matt about this morning, though, was I was rereading The Hidden Obstacles of Success, and I really feel like we should go out and sell that as a free plus shipping and handling offer. It's free to everyone that's in our Facebook group, which is which is just called Strategic Profits. But like, I forgot how good it was. And I'm rereading it because I can benefit from it. Did some sentence stems myself this morning, and yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'll ask him about that. Would you say that creating demand happens on an unaware market? I'm thinking about that, Hugo. Sort of, I guess would be my answer. Certainly not aware. They are unaware of the solution that you offer. They are aware of the problem they experience or problems that they experience. And so they're not completely unaware, but they are not aware either. All right. The key is to show them what they're doing wrong and then prove it and finally introduce new unique mechanism. That's one way for sure. There are other ways, Giancarlo, but that is one way, right? Don't stop. Right. Yes. Okay. Rich, from an innovation point of view, this is huge. Cool. I don't know which part, but glad to hear. Make the customer come to their own conclusion that they need you. Yes, of course. Isn't education the more difficult route? Just look at Trump and Biden. Education didn't work very well. If it worked, then more than 50% of the people would be on one side or the other. Changing people's minds seems difficult. I think that I, Hmm. I'm so tempted to go down some roads I shouldn't go down. Um, I've worked in some political campaigns in the past. Um, I have education certainly is more difficult, no question about that. But so a great book, not the easiest read, is a book by the title of it is Propaganda by Jacques Ellul. I think it's Elul, but it could be Ellul. Um, and I read that, I don't know, about 10 years ago or something like that. And one of the things that was the big that stuck with me from that book was that the people who are most prone to fall for propaganda are generally the most informed and the most educated. And here's why. It is those that are the most educated and the most informed that feel the need to stay up to date with what is currently happening. In order to stay up to date with what is currently happening, you have to consume summary information. You can't dedicate your life to knowing what's true and what's not true, which means that we have, let's assume that we are part of that group, the educated and informed. If we're the educated and informed and we feel the need to stay up to date, we will consume bite-sized summary type information about what's happening. It is in that where propaganda can easily uh, make its mark or be effective. So I think that really, Pam, uh, one of the bigger challenges right now is that we're in a situation that is almost like a fog, that nobody really knows who you can trust, right? Period. If you're a Trump supporter, you believe that the whole Russia thing was a hoax, it was a distraction, it was done to take Trump's eye off the ball, to try and get rid of the swamp, to clean out the deep state, what have you. And that it never had even a figment of truth in it. You have another half of the country, or some amount of people, that think that it was true, he got away with it, right? The media seems to foster that as well. Who knows what's true? I mean, we all have our opinions, and I have mine, and I'm sure you have yours. But do we know for sure? Do we know whether the election was fraudulent or not? Do we know? We don't know. We know what we're told. And because we know what we're told, and many of us have, well, I don't want to speak for anyone. I myself no longer believe what I'm being told by anyone. I feel like there's an agenda that then right there starts to limit uh, the ability to change beliefs and or to find common ground because uh, one of the reasons why likability, authority, proof, right? Social proof, why all of these are important is to credentialize not only the person but the information that's coming across. And if that person is suspect, then the information becomes suspect, no matter how good it is. And so I would say that what we're all being educated in right now is not that education is ineffective, but more so, Pam, that without without authority, without credibility, without establishing our expertise in our area, in our market, to our prospects, right? That the likelihood of our message being embraced, absorbed, acted upon is very, very small, right? And it's kind of interesting. I hope that that this is the case here, but about 2004ish, around then, Stephen Pierce was my mentor in internet marketing. Him and I were, well, I was learning a lot from him. I was teaching him some things about business, but certainly learned a lot more about internet marketing from him. And his brother had just gotten involved in blogging, and this was when blogging was brand new, right? Way before anyone in our marketplace was blogging. And Uh, and then podcasts, I think were just starting, but like there was no iTunes yet. There wasn't even an iPhone. And and Stephen and I had this conversation about when there's all this content out there, when people are blogging, when people are podcasting, the posers, the fake experts will be revealed. Because how can you do content all the time if you don't really have expertise in that area? I don't know that we were right. I think we were wrong. There certainly are a lot of fraudsters out there, probably more now than ever before. Coaches who coach coaches who coach coaches coaches, right? Um, but but my hope is that at least for me doing these live streams, that I kind of get a chance to walk my talk, that I know what I'm talking about, that I am not one of those people, not that I was that concerned that you guys thought I was, right? But these are the kinds of things that allow someone to increase their authority, increase their likability, increase their level of rapport with their marketplace. And so one of the reasons why I want to, even though I haven't really done it, focus more on YouTube as well is because I do want to expand my footprint, recognizing that, and I would pass this along to all of you guys as well, right? Part of the reason I started these live streams was because of the pandemic, right? People were locked at home doing nothing, and I thought, well, hey, this is an easy time to start growing my audience. And since like I've been absent for God knows how long, what a good idea, right? Like, and I fortunately can play the long game, so there's no rush for me to try and make a huge splash as possible in the shortest amount of time, and I can get better at this. And at some point, my computers will work perfectly without a hitch, and also I'll have greater mastery of the format, right? And so that was the reason why I started these live streams, because of the pandemic. But now I've continued not because of the pandemic, but I've continued because I believe that more people are giving up on cable news for the most part. They're looking for news sources, and so that just makes it more likely that people will bump into me. Not everybody, but marketers and stuff like that. And so I would convey the same advice to you, that in this world of distrust, in this world of propaganda, in this world where no one's really sure who to believe, um, being recognizable, being consistent, delivering content, proving you know what it is that you're talking about, long term can only help you dramatically. And so that's kind of the idea there. Okay. Happy to hear Florida is still great now. Forget New York, can't compare. I love Cali too. Cali's great, except not now, not under Newsom. It strikes me that the contrarian copy structure proposed by Sean Vossler goes with this concept of creating demand as opposed to chasing it. Would that be correct? I don't remember the contrarian copy structure exactly, so it's hard for me to comment on that, Damon, but totally possible. And Sean is a super bright guy, so totally possible. Glad you're speaking up with common sense. Yeah, I wish I could speak more, um, even more honestly, even more emotionally, even more um, clearly about what I believe. But I find that um, you know I have such a difference of opinion. Even I have I have the same opinion as a lot of my friends, but a lot of my other friends have a totally different opinion. And the last thing I want to do is allow certain beliefs about what's happening way far away to impact my friendships with people close by. Um, let's see. Oh wow, that's long. Okay. Let's see. What did Gerard say? I have read that Henry Ford said something in the lines of, if I'd asked the market what they want, they would have said faster horses. Steve Jobs said something that people don't know what they want until you show it to them. When you speak about creating demand, it seems to me your thinking is more in line with this. Also, in previous lives, you explored the notion of marketing first, product second. My question, what I am confused about is, how do you know if your product is something your market really wants or needs? Is this marketing first that allows you to learn and understand what the market really wants? Is it a two-way education awareness? Okay. Um, so let's kind of I do agree with the Henry Ford and Steve Jobs quote for sure. Um, sorry. So I do agree with that. Gerard, I'd have to refer you to other of the Facebook lives I've done. Um, but if you backtrack from your question, right, and you think about my definition of a market, my definition of a market being a group of people that share a conflict, right? That's it. All a market is a group of people that share a conflict. That conflict is either a goal unattained or a problem unresolved. Most people did not just join the market yesterday, unless we're talking about like the conflict is I don't have a cup of coffee in the morning and I'm looking for a coffee maker. But if it's a personal change thing, if it's a goal thing like creating a business, if it's a personal change thing like overcoming procrastination, if it's any kind of improvement, service, etc., odds are that most people did not just enter the market yesterday, which means that they are pursuing the resolution of a conflict, either that goal or that problem resolved, and they have not achieved it. So we know what it is that they want, right? What they want is the outcome. Now, what we need to do is convince them that the way that they've been trying to get what they want will not work. Now, that's easy because it hasn't worked. If it had, they would not be in the market anymore. So they're looking for someone to tell them what they're doing wrong and what's the right way. So, yes, I hear what you're saying, Gerard, and I'm not negating it because there's certainly some people who I will never convince, right? There are people who pay for my coaching in the past, right? People who are brand new to the internet who will argue with me on a point about like what their next step should be. And that's normal too, I guess, because most people think their situation is unique or whatnot, right? But I have to remind those people, like, look, you're brand new to this game. I've been doing this for 2 decades. I am successful. I've helped countless others become successful. I do this as my job, and I'm one of the best in the world at it. You're talking to me, you have no experience, you've never done it before, and you're going to argue with me about what the right approach is? Like, on what basis are you basing that opinion on? Right? Like, so even then, right? People are paying me, they know who I am, they know who I've coached, they know what I've done. They still will not, like, necessarily give up what they believe, right? But most people in the market most of the time will because they did not get the outcome. It's one of the reasons, right, why it is. I didn't go after people like with the manifesto or with any of my products who were typing into Google, make money online, because they are too green. They don't know enough. They haven't been burned and taken advantage of. So if someone comes in and offers them an easy button, and I come in and say, there is no easy button, it's going to be hard work. Well, if you don't know that that easy button doesn't work, then you got to try that easy button first. So those are the people that type in make money online, right? They're so unsophisticated that they're not even aware of the challenges, obstacles, and roadblocks they're going to hit. And because of that, they're not my audience, right? So I guess those people I avoid. So the people who just joined the market today, I avoid because I feel like they got to be disappointed first to then look for a better way. I don't know if that answers it all, Gerard. If it doesn't, feel free to ping me. LOL. Thank you, Rich. make hay while the sun is shining, right? Yeah, I hope they don't come and take me away. It makes sense what Walter noticed on YouTube. That's how we do it in our TV ads. We go straight to the problem or the situation. This is going right to the solution. And the reason being, Hugo, is that like if someone starts with the solution, it puts me in the mood, right? Like I lean in automatically. Like if a commercial starts, the and here's the best way to increase the conversion rate of any sales letter, and it's this. And then they go into it. Like, how do you say, you know what, I'm not going to watch that commercial? I don't know that I would have. I know that I wouldn't have the same feeling if it's like if a commercial started. Want to know the best, the single most powerful way to increase the conversions of any web? Like, all right, like you're already now like teasing me, not giving me a taste. I don't know if that makes sense what I'm saying, Hugo, but it does to me. Compound attention. Yeah, well, repeat attention is compounded attention, right? If someone gives you their attention consistently over time, there is an evolution to the relationship. You know more about that person. You trust that person more. And just like an open loop, right, can be used in a piece of copy in an email or something, and then close the loop later on, or in a report. To have someone keep reading, you can use open loops from one message to the next to get people to keep returning. I'll pay $500 just to get a digital copy of Rich's journal. It would cost you a lot more than that because then you'd be able to blackmail me for a lot more than that. It's not just you. um, it seems so difficult to even market to someone who is aware and how to cause someone to stop and actually take a moment of their valuable time to read our email, open our sales letter. The step I find this step I find vital is because without understanding how to stop their preoccupied, tranced out state to look at our marketing, we don't have a chance, and it's frustrating. But to speak to an unaware person and have an opportunity to be heard is really hard, especially when they don't know who you are. It's got to be easier for high-level marketers than those starting to build a list. IV. Um, well, what I would say, John, is that yeah, look, getting attention, period, is difficult. Period. But the thing that you really gotta um, you gotta consistently ask yourself is like, are you rewarding people's attention? Are you giving people a reason to pay attention? Um, and if you're not, then you got to upgrade the quality of the content, right? That's and this is, you know, I think I shared this before. Like when I taught Russell and Phil Sane, when I taught Brunson and Phil Sane, like the automated webinars, and they went and did their thing and they did well. And Russell sent me one of his first webinars that was crushing it, uh, and I watched it and I hated it. And then the offer was so spectacular, I understood why it worked. The reason I hated it was that it was not providing me value for my attention. And I believe long term that that will be more difficult to get away with. It's still, you can get away with it, right? I did not need, and this is no offense to Russell, right? Like, because he creates offers that are spectacular. But the three secrets that most people have are crap. And I thought that the secrets that Russell shared in high secret selling was crap, right? The three secrets were you make more money selling high price stuff than low price stuff. Really? Like, no shit, right? That you don't need a lot of traffic to sell high price stuff, and you don't have to talk to people personally on the phone to sell high price stuff. These are three secrets. This is worth an hour of my time to learn these three things. Like, that is not value for my attention. And what made that webinar work so well was possibly like the lack of thinking that was necessary, and then the over the top offer that made it seem like everything was being done for me, which that I have like immense respect for Russell and the way he's able to do that. But the reason the manifesto went viral, the reason why some of my other reports went viral is not because of anything I did. It's because of what people did with the information. Because when they digested it, they felt it should be shared. They felt they did get value for their attention. If right now I was revealing to you the secrets to the universe that, would make marketing much easier for each and every time that you went at to bat, I would hope that you would press the share button and share it with your friends. That would be the only like non-selfish thing to do. I'm not doing that right now. I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying that if you want people to share your message, be share worthy. If you want people to give their attention to you, then be worthy of that attention. And if you're not, then don't be hurt or confused as to why it's difficult, right? It's kind of like, you know, something I've shared with clients over the years is that, like, if you're not the best choice for a particular group of people, then your strategy ultimately at the end of the day is that you're trying to find the stupid customers, the people that are stupid enough to not buy the superior offer, product, whatever, to that you're looking for the stupid people. And that's not a winning strategy. You have to be the best for someone out there out of the 6 billion plus people out there in the world. And then from there you grow, right? And then same with content. Um, I'm not saying that this is easy, John, by any stretch. It isn't. Um, and look, John, like if you use a keyword research tool and like do a search under my name, you'll see that in 2006 and 7 and 8 I was like here, and nowadays I'm down here, right? Um, so yeah, it certainly was easier in my heyday for me to command a lot of attention and be able to channel it. Nowadays I have to work harder for it because there are so many people that have gotten online while I was absent. The So I don't have that benefit like a celebrity has or Gary Vaynerchuk has, right? Um, but what made Gary Gary was developing stuff that people felt was worth their attention, and they shared it, right? So hopefully that helps. Rich packing. I notice the same thing. People seem more scattered right now, and it's surprising. I wonder whether news media and social media hysteria around the pandemic and election are contributing to this. I think it is somewhat, but I also think we're just all inundated. I think we're all overloaded. I think there are more things calling out for our attention, and uh, I just had this thought, right? Like yesterday, well, I ordered on Cyber Monday a bunch of. There was nothing for me to buy. I was kind of bummed. Like there was nothing I was hoping to come at. Like there's nothing on my list right now except really big things, right? Like putting in a sauna in our house or stuff like that. But so on Cyber Monday though, I did buy these kind of like somewhat expensive, I guess, for what they are. Um, the top of the line Alexa speakers and that can fill a whole room, but they're with whatever, right? And apparently they were back ordered. They came yesterday, and so I set them up. I got two of them. I probably should have bought more, but I have one here in my office, and I put one in the living room in the house down, right over on the other side of this wall, in between the pool. And one thing I noticed was that, my general tendency is to switch on YouTube or listen to something or a podcast and listen to something. And with the speakers out, I put on music, just like Spotify, chill vibes kind of music. And I felt so much more like at ease, relaxed. And I want to make it a point in my life now to move more and more to that, to unplug more. Um, And unplugging means not talking to as many people, I guess, because during that time, I want to be unplugged, right? I want to unplug from the world at like by 7 o'clock so that I can unwind and enjoy my evening more. I don't know if people are moving more to that yet, or if the amount of chatter just around us all the time uh, is still. I'm running away from that. I've been too consumed by it. And I don't like it. I hope that makes sense. Yep, I used to rely solely on paid ads to generate business. However, seeing that the market is turning to a battle of attention, I'm focused on working on building out a YouTube channel for 2021. Good move, my friend. That which is most personal is most general is one of my favorite RS insights. I'm glad you remembered that, Adam. Would you think that creating demand is more for the Oh, I already answered that. Oh, look who's in the house. I'm nervous reading this because Felicia and I go back and forth with sometimes nasty jokes. Getting your prospects' attention. This is where repurposing comes in a big way. Something as simple as making your content available to consume in as many different formats of consumption as possible to appeal to all the different consumers. That has been the key to our business. Yeah, totally agree. You got to meet people where they are in the format um, that they most like to consume or most comfortable consuming. And one of the things that people ask me is what I would do different today if just starting out, and I say there isn't very much that I would do different. But one thing is that when I was releasing the manifesto, I would not just release it as a report. I'd release it as a video. I'd release it as a podcast. I'd really release it in every which way possible. And good to see you, Felicia. I'm going to talk to Jay tonight, and I'll find out what his story is. But if he's not game, I was talking to Matt, and we got something for you. Gregory, in context, if getting attention is the game, aren't prospects more likely to give attention to what they want versus what they need to be educated about, which needs more attention? Well, understand. Okay, what people want is we could say that there are so many levels to that, right? And this is why I'm slowing down here for a second. Let me see if I can just let's see here for a second. Can I do this? Um, no, I don't want to do that. Let's see if I'm going to go back to the iPad for a second because I want to try and draw something, but I don't know how do I. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right, so let's go back to the iPad for a second. All right. So Gregory asks, in context, aren't prospects more likely to give attention to what they want versus what they need? Okay. So people want, right? If someone's involved, let's see. Hold on, one last thing. Okay. Sorry, guys. Move that there. Move me here. Okay, people want a successful, right, online business. It's supposed to be an industry, right? Um, um, anyway, all right. So what people want is they want a successful business, right? They want to be making money online. They want to have a flow of customers coming in. They want marketing that works. They want to get their clients great results, whatever. So that's what people want. And this I get into in the report. So I'm just going to give a passing thing. Now, there's a reason why people want that. Because not everyone does. Right? The majority of people do not start their own business, do not start something online, real estate, whatever. The most people have a job, work for someone else, 9 to 5, that's it. Like that's their path, right? So already someone who is doing this is different than the average person because the average person is not that. Okay. So this person wants this, right? And That's what they want. What they believe. Like, do you want a list or do you believe a list is necessary to have this? Right? They want a list because of that. They want whatever else they believe is necessary to get what it is they want. So they believe this. They want, let me see if I can, I'm going to get rid of these now. Hold on. They want this successful business. The reason they want that successful business is because they believe it will fulfill certain desires that they have. This, these are just beliefs. There is no big wanting or desire of these. So my point is that if someone is in internet marketing or online marketing or any of these spaces, Gregory, and they're still in it, then this is not happening for them. They're not yet making the money that they want, or they wouldn't be here. They'd be on their jet, on their yacht, or relaxing with their grandchildren or their kids or whatever else. So the conflict is their business is not where they want it to be. Okay? And they want that business because they believe it's going to fulfill their desires. They haven't gotten the outcome. They're not attached to these. If I could show you a way to bypass these and just get to this, most people would be interested. So that's what I'm saying. So, Gregory, let me know if that makes sense. Okay. Um, okay, this is a hugely difficult thing for me. The idea of getting fast wins, working with realtors and home building sales, the ultimate payoff is pretty long term. So we aim at smaller, more immediate initial wins with new clients. Okay, I'm not sure where you're going with that, Ron, but okay. Hey, Rich, love the idea about obstacles. I'm actually have it down in my notes to reread. It's so good. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm rereading it now. Confirmation bias is hard to overcome. Yes, it is. Uh, Rich Perry new book, Detox, Declutter, and Dominate, is awesome. Oh, I didn't even know that he released a new book. Perry, you should have told me that. All right, I will get that book. I will read it, and I will convince Perry to possibly jump on one of these live streams with me so we can talk about it. Propaganda, Jack Quiz, alone. Yep, that's the book. It seems to me that creating demand approach you're talking about is kind of like indirect approach to sales letters that Agora uses, taking a side angle, unexpected approach instead of a direct pitch. There are similarities to that, Leon, but what Agora does is more difficult because they're trying to do that in one sales letter, which is much more difficult to do than to lay the foundation for those beliefs before someone ever sees a sales letter. There is an element of that, though, for sure, right? And you could certainly say that, like, when Dan Kennedy offered opportunity concepts, right? Like, nobody out there was looking for, like, how do we take the best approaches of what people who sell opportunities do into our business? But that's what Dan Kennedy sold well, right? And the reason he did is because he showed why people would get what it is they want by using this approach that has since that has avoided them. Rich talks about propaganda book and the most educated. Just putting this here as a bookmark to look at later. Well, thanks, Jaden. Uh, People are aware of the symptoms, but not the cause of the problem. Drawing attention to the cause along with your solution would amount to creating demand for your product. Yes, certainly that is one way to do it, Damon. Good point. That's part of what I teach. Like you, I agree with that there is a hidden agenda. I sat down and connected some dots, and I don't like what I see and where we are going. I don't trust the government, period, because of this. Yeah, me too. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Uh, hey, Rich, your viewer numbers have doubled in just the last month, it seems. I haven't noticed, but hopefully you're right, April. That's cool. Rich, one thing I know about propaganda, I was born in Cuba under a dictator. Yeah. It was 5 years ago today that I was in Cuba for the day. It came up in my Facebook 5 years ago today. So when I was over there, the message based on fear was the Yankee capitalists are coming in now. After living in the United States for 40 years, the message is communist socialists are coming in. So now I don't know where to run to. We all have to run to our own private island, Hugo. That's what we have to do. It shows you're putting out great content as always. Thanks. Um, Innovation. This offering a new value the prospect had no idea could be possible. A few seconds before they saw your value offer, now they saw it, they can't go back. There is a sequence to how to lead the prospect, to lead the past cognitive dissonance. And what I hear you are saying is this: the period of marketing validation is now, not working as it did. Leading to offering next level value is going to be the new thing. That's what innovation is about. Offering something the prospect has no idea was possible. Thus, the question becomes, how do you do that? And should you like the idea? I'd love to answer that question. Well, certainly that is one approach. Innovation is not the only way, right? But I'm just looking at your question again. Well, okay. So if you're asking me, Eric, how do you come up with solutions like that? There are many ways. None of them are necessarily easy. One thing I like to do is look at the problems of the marketplace and then think about how can I turn those into symptoms of a deeper problem, and if I can my solution solve that deeper problem? That's my favorite approach. I call that creating a disease. I've gone over it on numerous of these live streams. Another approach is to look at the top selling products, the top selling sales letters for the best products that are selling in the market, and as a thinking exercise, right? As a yeah, as a game of imagination. It's your job to size up that sales letter and then come up with as many answers as you can as to why that is the problem. The promises that that sales letter is making are the problem are is everything that's wrong with the market because of. And then that starts to help you surface ideas as to where the weaknesses are, what people are being told, and where potentially you can be counterintuitive and counter message. Um, so there are lots of ways that you can go about it. I just gave you two. Um, so those are some ways. Leave it at that. Okay, so I need authority testimonials first, then work on a recognizable consistent. I love a list of what I should be working on and in what order. My clientele must be educated since mine is a paradigm shift if they buy from me. Pam, share with me, not on this live stream, but on the next live stream, share with me what it is you do. Not in the next one in case I do it from Orlando, but next Tuesday. Share with me what you do and I'll walk you through a little bit more, okay? And it doesn't have to be next Tuesday. You can show up on next Thursday or whatever, but just, yeah, I'm willing to take it a little bit further with you to kind of connect some dots. It sounds like you need that, and it'd be my pleasure. Hey, Rich, what's your process when entering a brand new market as far as understanding customers better than they know themselves? Um, the ideal way is coaching, if you want to know the truth. Coaching is the easiest way to get inside the head of the market. Because in order to coach someone, people have to open up and reveal where their struggles are. And look, I was a hypnotherapist, right? So people would tell me their deepest, darkest issues. As a coach, people told me their deepest, darkest struggles. So I'm used to that to begin with. Um, and it's in that where the gold is. Whoa, what the hell is that? All right. Rich packing. I don't know what that means. Thank you for all your time and energy you put into the live trainings and Steal Our Winners. One of the best investments I ever made. Thank you, Martin. Appreciate you saying that. True, my best performing Facebook ads are the ones that has value and they start sharing it. Well, there you go. Yes, most of the time I just listen to videos, but your videos are so valuable. It's why I always comment on your videos as a small way of giving back to the algorithm reach. Thank you, April. So much appreciate that. Exactly my what I hope everyone does. Try the music from your younger days. You may feel like you did at that time of your life. It works for people in nursing homes. I do. I still listen to techno when writing. Share a joke. Good job. Yes, thank you. Cool. Excellent explanation. Cool. Uh, Rich, do you recommend when writing advertorials making jump from one to another to different sites like article native ad styles, or do you recommend just one link to one direction, which would be the sales video? I think I think that's a tough question to answer, Giancarlo. It kind of depends. I guess here's what I so I think that the course by Andre Chaperon, Spheres of Influence, is based on this, but I'm not sure because this is what I tried to get him to when he spent a day consult with me and we were going over this stuff. So, okay, so you asked me when writing an advertorial, is it better to make jumps or go direct, right? So let's say this is the sales letter. And it could be a video sales letter or it could be, you know, a regular written sales letter. Um, I see it sort of like this in an ideal world, right? And these would be circles going all the way around, but we don't have the space, nor can I draw that cleanly, that small. But like this is one step away. So, what I would say is that what you first want to do is create advertorials here. Wow, that's so weird. It's kind of delayed here. Um, you want to create these advertorials first. But over time, what you really want to do is create a trail of breadcrumbs all over the place, right? And I haven't really defined what these are, but this is like as they move closer this way, more of the beliefs are established. They are getting closer to being a customer, right? Ideally, in an ideal world, you would have someone find your video on YouTube here, right? Be like, wow, that was really good. Click on a link and it takes them here, right? That is maybe your Facebook group. From there, they go here and it's an Instagram post and they love that. And then they go here and then they see your editorial and then they buy, right? So if you imagine that the internet, you're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs back to your website. The very first level, first you got to have the site, right? The place where the sale happens. Then you got to populate the circles, right? And then let people come into your wheelhouse, if that kind of makes sense. Let me know if that is clear. Um, all right. And now let's go back to me. Why is that not working? What the hell just happened? All right. Let's close that out and then there we go. All right. Let me know if that makes sense. Uh, and it looks like it did make sense. Me too. Hello. Hello, Mia. Uh, that was brilliant, Rich. Cool. I'm glad you appreciate that. So I would start with the least number of beliefs that need to be changed, right? Make that the advertorial. Then from there, you expand outward. Um, cool. Cool. All right. So it is 3:45. Let's get back to this for at least a few minutes, guys. I apologize. I really wanted to do more of this. So let's do this for a little bit. All right. All right. Okay. Um, we're not going to have time to go deep into this, but what I do want to show you is, and we can return and revisit this um, next week, because I imagine that if I'm doing a live stream on Thursday, I'm going to have too many great other people around me to spend time on this. I'd rather spend time on something that maybe maybe I'll get Tim Bird to join me or something like that, since I have a lot of respect for him. All right. What I wanted to show you, and is really the. All right. So this is the way that Chet Holmes originally broke up the market, right? When he was describing a market before he passed away, obviously, he said that you could think about your marketplace as this: 3% are buying it right now, 6 to 7% are open to buying it, then 30% are not thinking about it, don't think they're interested, and know they're not interested. The When you're chasing demand, you're focused on these two. You're either selling to them immediately, right? So it's straight to offer, or opt into funnel. And the funnel is for people who are open to it, the offer is for people who are buying now. That's only 10% of the market, and that's being generous. What it avoids are these people. And what you have to understand is that when we talk about, you're competing with entrepreneurs from all over the world, guess who they are targeting? These people as well. So these people are the most expensive to contact. They are the most inundated with ads. And uh, all of the criteria has already been set. I'll So that is demand driven marketing. That is demand chasing, right? And the goal in demand chasing is to find lots of tops of pyramids. So you do that in Facebook with one group, and you try and find another group you can do that to, and then you do that on YouTube, right? But you're looking for just that group of people. And when you run out of where there is currently a group of people with demand, your business, the only way to grow it from that point forward is to steal demand from others. This is the deal, guys. And this is like what I want you to understand today. I definitely want to spend more time talking about it, but I want to read to you let's see. Let me read you this, okay? And I believe that Todd Brown told this story of my client. I think it's in his Big Idea book. I'm not sure which book it was. Okay, but this is actually a true story from my coaching program. I just changed the name. The real gentleman's name is not Sam. Okay, so let me see what is here. Okay, a question that reveals the real problem. And this is what I want you to think about. And if you guys can keep an open mind, don't feel like I know that, or I already know that, or that makes sense. Don't think anything until I get to the end, okay? Because I want to show you something, and I want to show you how it relates, and I think it will make a lot more sense if you can just. I think you'll agree with me. I don't think like your reaction is not going to be to disagree with me, but I don't even want you to agree with me. I want you to just like keep a place open to consider what I'm saying here, okay? I was on my weekly Q&A call that I do for my coaching program, BGS. I've done it every Wednesday for over a decade. I'm there every week to assist clients who call in because they've run up against an obstacle or an opportunity that they'd like my advice on. It was May 14th, 2008, and my client, let's call him Sam, was on the line. I still have the audio of it. I was listening to it to write this. Sam was a wizard at outsourcing. He wanted to leverage his knowledge to be the outsourcing guru in internet marketing. He had already created a few products and a coaching program. He knew his prospects needed what he had created, but his sales were paltry and nowhere near enough. He really focused on Google AdWords, targeting phrases like internet marketing, outsourcing, and many others. No matter how many phrases he came up with, the net results seemed to always be the same. Hardly any searches, fewer click-throughs, and zero sales. Sam said, I've been doing all this marketing, and no matter what I do or try, I just can't get the traffic or make the sales I need. I think I may have chosen the wrong niche. I can hear the frustration. I know the thinking process that leads an entrepreneur to the conclusion that the source of their problem was their original selection of products and markets. The idea occurs to entrepreneurs after doing all the quote-unquote right things and not getting the expected payoff or any payoff whatsoever. Everything Sam did was focused on finding prospects pre-sold on outsourcing to put his sales message in front of. When he described his sales funnel, it was clear he was talking to prospects who could already see the benefits of outsourcing. The timing of Sam's concern was perfect because it helped me show Sam a very different way of looking at his problem. At the time, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss was a top 10 New York Times bestseller. Here's what I told Sam. I told Sam, I want you to really take a step back and see things from my perspective. In other words, pretend you are me, and you just heard Sam tell you about his dilemma. He's told you how difficult it has been selling information on outsourcing, that he believes entrepreneurs aren't interested in outsourcing because they aren't searching for it. And he thinks the only prospect interested in outsourcing are from big corporations. Now, at the same time, I'm thinking how differently I see things from Sam. I see entrepreneurs everywhere who strongly desire the benefits outsourcing delivers. So Sam's theories and beliefs about his difficulties don't add up to what I'm seeing. Sam, there's a book on outsourcing for entrepreneurs out right now that's at the top of the New York Times bestseller list. It's The 4-Hour Workweek. If entrepreneurs aren't interested in outsourcing, why is it a bestseller? You see, Sam, I want you to consider a possibility that when you look at everything you've done and all the different things you've tried too, you've never done any marketing. Everything you've been doing has been about selling information on outsourcing. You haven't done any marketing on outsourcing advice. The difference? To you, it seems that nobody is interested in outsourcing because you are focused on the means, not the end. You are focused on the process, while your prospects are focused on the end results that they want. They don't want outsourcing. They want a 4-hour work week. So while you can't find anyone interested, Ferriss is selling millions of books. Your prospects aren't at home thinking about how to outsource. They are thinking about what they really want and how much needs to get done for them to get what they want. And you, as the marketer, need to follow Robert Collier's advice he gave in his book, the Robert Collier Letter Book. Robert Collier said, you have to enter the conversation already going on in their mind. Now, the way Ferriss did it was with the outcome of the prospect's fantasy, which is certainly a powerful approach. You could also talk to entrepreneurs about how much they are already working, how long their to-do list is, how long it's been that way. You could contrast that with what life would be like if all their ideas were done and working for them instead of them working to get their ideas done. So while you say no one is interested in outsourcing, I say you're wrong, and that everyone is interested in the benefits of outsourcing. And it's your job as a marketer of information products on outsourcing to get prospects to see those benefits when they think about outsourcing, so that they then eagerly buy your products on outsourcing. Right? So this is what it's all about. I want to say ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why. Ladies and gentlemen. Instead of just, and look, there's nothing wrong with chasing demand. There's nothing wrong with like tapping into current demand. We do it. That Steal Our Winners ad is an example of that. And there's nothing wrong with that, and I make no apologies about it because we certainly want to make as many easy sales as we can, right? But that's only going to give us these people. The goal of marketing is to move these people up the triangle. How do we get someone who knows that they're not interested in business coaching to consider first that their problems stem from their lack of business knowledge? right? That if they knew more about business, things would be easier. And then show them how much easier it would be if they knew what they were doing and now all of a sudden they're open to it. And then to find out that one of the world's best is offering to coach them right now and it might not ever be available again and now they're buying now. So marketing is all about moving people up this ladder, up this triangle. That's what marketing is all about. So it's not about like trying to convince them that they need this even though they want that. No, 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 no. What they want is what they want. What they need is how to get what they want. And that, like crack in the door, is where you slide your foot in and you show them a better way to get the outcome. I hope that that makes sense. If that makes sense, then you understand at least the basis, right, of what demand creation is all about. You create demand by helping people, teaching people how to value your product. That you teach them how to value your product by showing them that it is a better way to achieve what it is they want. More certain, quicker, faster, easier, what have you, than whatever approach they're currently undertaking. And they're open to it because they would not be in the market if they still didn't, if they would resolve the conflict. That's my point. You're not talking to a bunch of people who have achieved the like master level success and now you're an interruption. They're in the market because they're still searching for the resolution to their conflict. And they've tried stuff. And they have not gotten what they want. So you come in and you tell them they can have what it is they want. And in the explanation of how they can get what it is they want, they have the revelation that one, the approach they were taking would never work. Two, this approach seems easier and more certain to work. And three, that they need to change their approach from the old approach to your approach to get what it is they want. And with that, it is 4 o'clock on the dot. I have some packing to do. I got to take a shower because I got back to jump roping last week. And so, once again, thank you, all of you, for being patient, for all the technical issues that I'm having here, for the lack of sound, the choppy video, for being here, for listening to what I have to say, for asking questions, for letting me know when the sound was out and when it was choppy, for all of it. Thank you for those of you who shared. If you shared, I really appreciate you. You really helped me get the message out. For those of you who emoted, thank you for that as well. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, it's free to join. It's called Strategic Profits, and some of my stuff that I charge for and will be charging for, again, is in there. All the videos of these live streams are in there. And the link right below me is where you can get Steal Our Winners on a trial basis. And if you're not a subscriber, check it out. And let's see. I will let you guys know on Thursday. I'll post, and it will either be me or Matt. And so thank you, Logan. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Jaden. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Teresa. And Martin and Pat and Logan and Jaden and Giancarlo. And Giancarlo asked, where can I get this information from Chet Holmes? No, this is all my information. This is all information I developed. And if anyone finds anyone teaching this, then I'd love to know it, because this is some stuff that I've taught that nobody's taken yet. It'd be nice if that continues, but that doesn't ever seem to be the case. But that's the approach, right? That's how you move people up. And that's how you create demand. I can assure you that there were many people who bought my coaching program who, before they read the manifesto, would have told you that they knew they were not interested in business coaching. They knew. And what the manifesto did was move them up that pyramid. And very last tip on that. and then I will really say to higher profits and beyond, is that if you're selling something that you believe in, then you went up that pyramid. And if you can clarify what brought you up that pyramid, you can take others up that pyramid too, right? So the first thing that I always have to do before I introduce any new program to the market is I have to do enough research so that I sell myself. And then look back and see how was I convinced that theory of constraints is really powerful and people need to know it? How am I convinced that the that everyone in internet marketing should know this amount of business? Um, and then part of marketing is taking people down an accelerated path to the experiences that you had that led you to the conclusion so that you can lead them to the conclusion. This was part of a experimental group program that I did one time called D3, which I hated the name. Desire, desire, demand, domination. Siri's talking to me. It's not out there right now. Um, I might bring that with my coaching I might bring my marketing program and my business coaching program together. I'm not really sure. But I'm going to be figuring out a lot of that this weekend or this week rather. As I spend some time in this mastermind on tomorrow and Thursday and then drive back Friday. So, thank you once again, all of you. I really appreciate you guys being here. I really appreciate you sticking through the choppiness and all that stuff. And I will see everyone Thursday. So to higher profits and beyond, Schefren over and out. Adios.